Hi everyone, welcome to eLearnChat, where you always learn something new. And today, this is the eLearnChat Melee. We've got 6 people. You're watching all of us right now. It's kind of like Gilligan's Island without a boat. I don't know if we're going to wind up on an island or not, but it could be fun. Let's see where we go. We're talking about step away number 2, but before we step away, let's introduce everybody. Well, I'm Rick. I'm harmless. I'm down here in the corner. I bother no one. In the center bottom, we've got Harold. Harold's crafty. You got to watch him. He's fast. He's quick on his feet. You don't know what he's going to do, but he'll get around you before you know it. Hi, Harold.
Hi, everyone.
And of course, we've got the Scott in the lower right. She just came back from a tree hurling contest where she hurled it with one arm. She's strong. She's very, very tough. She's also with learnappeal.org.uk. Please visit her website. They do a great job. It's a wonderful charity. And you better join because she can hurt you. That's in the upper left corner. That's where the doctor is. Our doctor. This is Dr. Karl Kapp. You all know Karl. He's a wonderful guy. Keep your eyes on him. He's shifty too. He knows. He thinks he's in charge of the other two, but we know better. They're shifty too. And in the middle, she's beautiful. She's smart. She's the most dangerous of the panel. Trust us, she's very dangerous. Keep an eye on her. She plays games with a vengeance. And on the upper right, it's the NuggetHead himself. That honest-looking, gentle guy. He's dangerous too. He's a warrior at heart. You can't play a game with him. He'll kill you. Kevin Thorn. Anyway, here we go. eLearnChat begins now. This show is sponsored by Relate Corporation. Digital learning development, media development, corporate video, management consulting, and more. Visit us at www.relate.com. Thanks. And we are back, and we're so glad all of you could join again. And you've got a Step Away Conference number 2 coming up. Tell us a little bit about that one. That's in September. Karl?
Yeah.
You guys excited?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Did he freeze?
Oh,
wait, we lost Karl just in time.
He's speechless. He's so excited.
He was so excited. He just left. I think he's running to Orlando now.
He can't stand it.
Well, he's coming back.
Scared them all. We are excited. We're super excited. In fact, we're taking it online this year because, the unspeakable. We've heard a lot about COVID, so we don't have to talk about that. But so we're super excited to tell you that we're taking this online. The entire thing will take place over 4 weeks, and we have lots of surprises. It's in a virtual 3D world, partly, and there will be some community sessions and some other tools as well. And we've got some self-paced things that are really exciting with some videos and all sorts of interesting, it's a blended approach. And there's in our 3D world, we even have an escape room. So, it's just so cool. We're super excited about this.
Well, that seems you guys have been busy working. I didn't realize it was going virtual. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. Powered by Vertway. It's our tech partner in this.
Nice. Haven't heard of them. So they do the virtual worlds?
Yes, they've been doing 3D virtual worlds for 10 years, and they are one of the leaders. The U.S. hasn't been huge on this yet, but we're about to get there, I think. And they're really big in Europe, and they're based in Spain.
Interesting. Now, you had a lot of experience with virtual worlds back in the old days.
Yeah, no, this is who I've been working with for a long time. So that's, one of the reasons they're our partner on this.
Are they the ones that were with, was it LinguaLearn?
Yes.
I remember they were in Spain. Interesting. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And actually they did a really nice world back then. And of course, there's been other worlds and some of them are still being used, not like they were before. But that's exciting. That's really interesting. Is Karl back?
Not yet.
Not yet. Uh-oh.
It says he's offline.
He got hit by something. But we've had some connection issues in the past with him. It might be the location. He's in Pennsylvania, I think. So maybe we're just getting...
where he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. He's always on the go.
He's on the go. When right now, is anybody on the go? I don't know. Some people are flying, but not much yet. I find it funny because
he's always got a lot of things going on, and a lot of them are, I think they're mostly virtual nowadays. But yeah,
that's good. So, Kevin, how are you going to do the Lego thing virtually?
Very carefully. One of the things that is Deborah was discussing why. We shifted to a virtual online simply because the pandemic. That's why we shifted, and it's going to be completely online pretty much through the month of September. But just a couple hours a day, assignments, activities, different things. Like we're going to take you through the same curriculum, but we have the flexibility to do a little bit more because we have essentially more time to do it. And one of the really cool things that we've decided this time too is. Deborah, I don't know what do we call it? A crate? It's like a goodie bag, but it's
our treasure chest.
What is it? A crate?
Chest.
A chest?
Treasure chest.
And then we're going to, when you sign up, we're sending it to you in the mail, and it's going to be a pretty good sized box. And in that box are all of your game pieces and your Lego kits and comic books. I mean, all of the stuff that we're going to be using through the event, you'll get in this treasure chest. And then we've got some virtual, similar to a platform like we have here, Skype or Zoom, where we'll do virtual Lego creation activities, kind of solving problems metaphorically through visual development or construction of Lego. And then Deborah and Vertway have created a virtual block building kind of area inside this 3D world, which I'm pretty fascinated about. So I'm really looking forward.
Yeah.
We've played with it, and it's kind of cool, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how people can interact together in a virtual world, building things with, simulated Lego block. So, but it's all, and it all comes back to, the going through the creative process and trying to solve a problem, a learning problem in this case, with where do I get inspired? How do I look for different types of creative outlets, and how do I prototype these ideas, and where do I get my inspiration from? And then and where Karl and Deborah really have kind of brought into their experience and their backgrounds with game design. So we use game design as the mechanism, as the vehicle, if you will, to go through this creative process to solve a problem.
You know what I like about that is, for example, look what happened to Second Life. Second Life it was a pretty incredible platform, but it tried to duplicate the world, like putting up a screen with PowerPoint on it, and people are going, "What's the difference? Why are we doing this?" And desks, so you could sit virtually instead of at your computer watching a PowerPoint. So it kind of didn't quite get there. I think it probably was ahead of its time and didn't know what to do with itself. But
the idea with the virtual world here is it gives. We'll do a big intro kind of reception, virtual party, if you will, inside the world. And we'll give them a tour, and they'll be able to navigate around, and then they can, on their own time, they can, create their avatar just like you would in any 3D world. But the advantage of it is that they can go in and explore, and we'll have other stuff that you would typically, like a PowerPoint or, typical stuff. But it's all the resources and research and different articles and stuff. So you can go explore and go through the virtual world and look at that on your own, download them, do what you want. And then intermittently between that, we'll have live sessions, kind of like what we're having now. And then there's assignments and homework, and then you come back and you can work virtually as a team, and then come back. You can go in the virtual world and work as a team. So we're trying to make it as flexible and as organic at the same time, and then still stay on a trajectory of actually teaching people how to do stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. But that's a great idea, Deb.
And I was going to add to that. So as they go through these activities and exercises and kind of we walk them through all this information, it's participatory completely, because like Kevin said, they'll be making a game, and at the end they will have an actual game that they will upload. Well, using some templates we're going to have for them. They'll upload it to our space, and then we will print that working game. So it'll be a really solid working prototype, and we'll get that printed and published for them, and then mailed to them. So shortly, after the event, they'll get a published printed game that they can use anytime they want.
That's nice.
Yeah. It'll be their game. In fact, one person from our event last year, the printer that we used sent a message to Kevin and asked, can we use this person's game on our website, because he loved the design, and for the box that we chose for that particular game, the game cards. So she's going to be featured on his website, which is
nice. Pretty
cool. We're super excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah, that led to a little partnership with them and sponsorship. So they spotted one of the orders. Apparently, it's not it wasn't a real popular tuck box card, because it's a square card. Typically, people I guess print playing card size. So we're using a square card, and it was a recent order, and they saw the picture, and I said they really like the design of the box that we put together. Can we use your box to promote that tuck box at our market? It's like, sure. Can we use your logo on our website? Sure. Hey, let's have a partnership. Yay. Now we're friends.
Yeah, and a few extras. I mean, they're going to do some more for us as well. So we're excited to have them as a sponsor. It's Print and Play.
Print and Play.
Yeah.
That's great. So is the trend still on?
It's a win-win. It's a win-win all round. And that's
right.
And at the end of the day, what you're doing is spreading the word about learning, that particularly, that people, particularly during this, crazy COVID thing, we've gone from an awful lot of face-to-face to absolutely virtual, which, and people don't necessarily get it or understand it. But if you look at games, isn't that what we were all brought up on?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yep.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, and we take a pretty deep dive into what makes why game design is such a great topic to use, and it's a really good thing to actually work on and create, because you will understand why the mechanisms that we use, like game mechanics and so forth, why he says he thinks he's back.
Hi, Karl.
Hi, Karl. We think you're back too.
Hi.
Hi there.
So walking through game design, after you do the process, you realize, oh, I can use this process for anything I need to when I want to make something creative or design a new process, or lots of different uses for it. So yeah, it's a good activity.
Well, it's
and
funny.
especially since we were brought up on them. I've now got a little grandson who's 9 months old, and I'm already playing games with him. Very simple games, just building blocks, but and making music, making noises, and then he repeats them. But that, we're brought up on that kind of thing from when we were very, very, very little. So when we become adults, an awful lot of us think games have to become so much more complex, It's, never mind Monopoly or anything else. It's got to be the craziest version of Risk that you could ever imagine, and games don't have to be like that.
No, and it's sort of interesting because if you look at the state of instructional design out there, a lot of designers don't know much about game design. They don't know much about, for example, multimedia design or even how the authoring tools work. So as a result, they write pretty boring, lackluster pieces. We've said for years on the show and before that you really have to teach people how to write screenplays, how to write games, how to write other things so that the training gets a little bit more interesting or even at least learn what the authoring tools can do. And then at least you have an idea of what kind of interactions you can do. And it's still pretty dismal out there when it comes to that kind of development. Not that many are into it, or they don't go that way. And as a result, there's a lot of reason why people say, well, e-learning is boring, e-learning is this, e-learning is that. And they're right. And you can't argue with them. They are right. In many cases, it is boring, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
So what are your different roles then? Going across the top. Dr. Kapp, what's your role in this event?
So I'm helping out with the game development and conceptualizing the game ideas and things along those lines. So Deborah and I are kind of sharing the game part of the event.
Is that it? Come on, you must be doing more than that. You must be doing more than that. You can't just be doing that for a whole 2 days, for goodness sake.
No, that's true. Well, the whole idea is that the attendees will be able to be mentored by one of or all of the three of us. So what we're going to do is help the attendees shape their game, help them think about what they want to accomplish and get them to think at a higher level about their own metacognition, to think about how they're actually thinking about being creative.
Right, because anyone can, not anyone, but most people can create a game, and they can create a game for learning. But tying the objective to the right mechanic, that's tricky. And in other words, you want to make game mechanics that actually help with the learning. It's not just about adding something fun or cool or, intriguing into a learning environment. It's actually way more than that. We want to help our learners remember and retain information and help them, access that information easily. And that's why using a game, design is a perfect way to do it. And it's a perfect way to communicate information that you want to help people remember.
Now, of the three of you,
you're also going to be mentoring then? Deborah, you're also going to be mentoring?
Oh yeah, we're all three doing that. So we're all giving different parts of like some videos and maybe some live lectures and participatory lectures. Lecture has such a bad word, so I want to make sure everyone knows we're not going to be talking. But we all plan to create PDFs, and we have some of these are finished. We're still working on it. It's not till September, but we're getting close to our deadline of having things due, our arbitrary deadline. And so every one of us will be creating different parts and artifacts for this, and then we'll all also be available for mentoring when the participants want us or want to talk to us about whatever they're working on, because that's the other cool thing about this event. They can bring their learning problem to our event and create what they want. We're not giving them, like, everybody has to do the same thing, and then when it's finished, they all get this one thing that some of them may not have wanted. They bring their own problem. In fact, Kevin takes them through with the Lego strategy piece, where they get to really kind of hone in on what their topic topic might be, what they want to work on for their organization, and then that's what they're going to work on. They'll create their game. At the end, it'll be a playable game that will help people, change their behavior or whatever it is they are wanting, out of it, and that's what we guide them through.
And you can do an awful lot with Lego. An awful lot with Lego.
You have no idea.
I had Lego as a child back in the early 1960s, where they didn't even have any Lego roof bricks. You had to make your roof by putting together the bricks and build them up. So that's how far back I go with Lego.
Now, Leslie, if you look straight up, you're looking straight up, that's your Lego guru right over you.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's Kevin.
Absolutely love.
Okay.
Just
what'd you say, Harold?
Lego.
Yeah, Kevin's Lego background looks good. We haven't mentioned yet that Kevin's actually been shrunk down to Lego size. So
I didn't hear what did Harold say? What did he say?
I couldn't hear
you've
what
actually been
Harold
shrunken
was
down
saying.
to accommodate your Lego background.
Oh yeah, I'm on the beat.
Really tiny.
Yeah.
Because that's a regular size Lego construction set behind you.
Now let me ask each of you one simple question, and I'll start with Kevin. Kevin, what games do you play on your own that you like playing, whether they're video games or other kind of games? Do you play any games?
Oh goodness, daily.
Any favorites?
Well, right now I'm kind of addicted to Ticket to Ride. I play. It's kind of like some people read before they go to bed. I play Ticket to Ride. That for some reason that just helps me. And then I've been playing the same computer opponent, I think, forever. And we have this relationship now. We don't like each other because
naturally.
Because it's that one move, and he'll kind of block one of my routes. It's like, oh, okay, that's it. And then this emotion comes over me. It's like, okay, I don't even care if I get my routes. My total goal right now is to block everything you're trying to do. Just like my entire strategy changes because he got in my way that one time, right?
It's over. Yep.
But yeah, Ticket to Ride. But I like a lot of analog board games too, the classics like Clue. We play Clue, and I was looking for my son is traveling through next month, so we're going to play Risk. We always play Risk together.
Right. Classic.
So just classic games. But then Lego, I play Lego every day.
That's cool.
It's a game.
That's
Make
cool.
A game out of stuff.
Carl, what games do you like to play?
So I play Plants vs. Zombies every day.
Okay.
Not at night, but I play it in the morning. So I get up in the morning, have my cup of tea, and play Plants vs. Zombies. So that's one of my go-to games. I think it's very clever how it scaffolds. And then we recently played Spy Master game, which is an interesting game. It's you pretend to be you're a spy for a certain country, but you have to fake everybody out of which country you're a spy for. So that's kind of a fun board game. And then I always like the Assassin's Creed video game series, so I play that every chance I get.
That's good. They have great graphics in that one. That's a nice one. Deb.
So, right now, my husband and I are playing a word game that I created. So we're actually testing it, and it pretty much works. So I think our testing is done, and we're mostly just playing. So I'm about to kind of do all artwork and get that one out the door. So, but we've had a lot of fun playing that one. What else? I know when we have some friends we play games with, and when we can go and be social again, we'll get back to that. But we always one of the fun ones we like to play with them is Junior Pictionary. Okay, Junior, that's the one you should play, because if you're having a glass of wine, you can still draw whatever and think about whatever it is in the game. It's really hilarious to play that with adults. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds fun.
What is the
Harold, go ahead.
Our family are obsessed by games. So every Christmas, still, I get each of my children a board game, a new board game.
You want to adopt me?
Are now that we're in lockdown, my kids are doing board games with their friends online. So they're
online.
doing it via Zoom or Skype or whatever, but it's actual board games that they're playing. And when they were little, one of the things I had, and Rick's seen it, I've got a huge, great big old oak table. And my children, one of the reasons I got it was not only to teach children how to sit and eat properly at the table with knives and forks, but I could clear the table and they could actually play board games, because I didn't want them to be brought up on just watching television or just using computers. I wanted them to engage, to talk with people. And the way I did that was board games or Lego.
Lego is fun. Harold, do you play any games?
Those great tools.
Well, I had a question for Deb. What is the difference between normal Pictionary and Junior Pictionary? I haven't actually played Junior Pictionary.
Oh, yeah. So the adult Pictionary, the words, it's just ridiculous. Some of the things they ask you to draw and the categories, and I don't know, the way I think they took the fun out of it. So try the Junior and see if you don't agree.
Interesting.
Now, I remember not that long ago, 30 years, something like that. Trivial Pursuit was real big. Now that's disappeared. I don't hear much about Trivial Pursuit anymore. That was really big back, literally about 36 years ago, something like that. I remember that.
Yeah, it was the mid-90s, early 90s.
About mid-90s. No, actually, it was in the 80s. Yeah. It was in the 80s.
Was it that long ago? Well, I'm dating myself. Yeah. Is it that long ago?
I think it was actually in the 80s. It's been a long, long time.
Oh, my gosh.
And, yeah, it is a long time ago. I still remember it, which is even scarier. But anyway, so what board games are popular today? What are the most popular ones? And it sounds like you've taken ideas and created your own board games. But how much did you draw upon some of the board games that are very popular?
Well, that's a great question. There's like little pockets. There's little pockets of interest in different board games. I'm seeing a resurgence of Dungeons and Dragons here lately, probably in the last year or so. Gosh, I remember the first time I played. God, it was early '80s when I first started playing, and then I stopped playing for a long time. Just life got away, and then probably in the last couple of years, a lot of friends and colleagues that I'm seeing are really diving back into the whole Dungeons and Dragons. So I don't know if you equate that as a board game, but that's landscape role playing kind of thing. I don't know. Other than Ticket to Ride is a board game as well, but I don't know how popular it is. But I know a couple other friends of ours, they're big in the game and family and playing board games with the family, and they were because of the lockdown they were playing a game within themselves to challenge themselves to play a different game every day based out of their library. And then they would, so I don't know if there's any one, unless Karl and Deborah, is there any one particular board game out there that you see it's more popular today than others?
I still think Catan is a popular game.
Yes.
The Settlers of Catan is still a very popular game. There's a Cards Against Humanity, of course, is a very popular game. Those types of games and variations of those where you're doing things that you really shouldn't be doing, and with other people, or talking about things you shouldn't be talking about with other people. So those games seem to be.
Now, where are people buying games now?
Yeah,
I remember
so
the old
many
days.
games now. There's a resurgence going on. So there's a new board. That's why she buys a new game every year for her kids. And there's just so many now. That question's kind of hard to answer. People, I think that they focus on a game and then they get a new game and then they start focusing on that one. But Kevin's right. Dungeons and Dragons is definitely seeing a resurgence rate as well.
Now, where are people buying games now? Because I remember, I think they're gone. Gamekeeper, I think, was one of the stores. Toys R Us is gone. Where do people actually get the board games?
Amazon.
Okay.
Board Game Geek, and there's quite a few.
So it's mostly online now.
Well, and then a lot of the board games I have are through Kickstarter campaigns or Indiegogo campaigns.
Yep, me too.
There's one I really like. It's called Expedition. It's a unknown game, but you go on an expedition through the jungle, but it's octagon shaped tiles. So your game board evolves. You start with a small game board piece in the middle, and then you add pieces, and it might be a trail, it might be a piece of jungle, it might be part of the desert. So think of Catan in kind of the same way, where that game board's already kind of in place, but you're actually building these tiles as you're going through, and then you have to move, and then there's obstacles and challenges and disasters along the way, and you're trying to get to the top of the mountain. So it's games like that I find interesting.
The other thing my children love is actually murder mystery games.
Like Clue.
Oh, yeah.
They really enjoy. I'm looking up, I've got about 6 on the shelf. What the Butler Saw, Champagne Murders, Murder by Candlelight.
Are those card games or board games?
No, that you get dressed up and you're given clues.
Interesting.
And you work out. You work out who the murderer is. And the whole thing is that some of them are better than others. The really good ones, even if you are the murderer, you've got to work out yourself by the clues you've been given. Is it me? Is it me that is the murderer? Because the bad ones tell you who the murderer is at the beginning, and that spoils all the fun. Because you're the bad person, you're the baddie at the beginning. But if you don't find out to the end, and you reenact it all around the house, and people get dressed up, and my children, I say my children, they're in their 30s now, they've been doing this with their friends online during lockdown.
Oh, nice.
And to me, that's a much better thing to do rather than just a drinking party online.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more fun.
Yes.
I agree.
So, Karl, this year with the virtual, do you have room for more people?
We do. We've got some room left over for some more folks, and we've got Deborah. Do you want to talk about? We even have an escape room as part of our curriculum. There's an opportunity for people to enter a virtual 3D escape room. Deborah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mentioned it briefly earlier, but yes, it's a pretty cool. I have not found my way out of it yet, but I'm still working on it, and oh my gosh, it's really fun. So yeah, there's lots of clues. Of course, it's designed to be kind of a team, 2 teams working against each other, so a competitive event. So just doing it by yourself is going to be a little harder, so I think that's why I'm having trouble. But I don't know all the answers. I'm hoping that I'll find them out on my own, but if I don't, I'll have to ask the creators of this particular escape room that we're using. But it's all sorts of
we probably need an answer
there's so
key
many
eventually.
rooms. It's easy to get lost, and you get some maps and clues, and have to figure out then how to enter codes to get into the next room, and sometimes you have to go back to another. It's pretty involved.
So it's a large environment.
Oh yeah. That just the escape room alone is
But it's totally graphical, 3D.
We also have a combination room where they can play a game. It's kind of a matching game, and one of the things we're going to do during the event is announce that people can, if they want to, design a game for that room, and once it's designed, I will get all those parts and pieces and get them uploaded, and we will actually play somebody's game that they've designed for that particular room. So that'll be fun.
So when you go into the conference, do you go to a specific room?
Yeah, every day we'll be in probably different rooms. We're still working out some of that, but we have tons of rooms. So sometimes they might go back to the same room for different things. So
what do you do? You send out links in the morning. Here's the room we're meeting at today, or do you just tell them go find the room?
They'll have access. Like Kevin said earlier, they're going to the first day kind of learn how to navigate and get their avatar built and designed and pick out their hair and all that. And then they'll walk around and get to know the world a little bit. And then they'll have access to all of those rooms throughout that time. So they can go in and out anytime they want. And like he said earlier, they can go and watch a video on something that they might, that might be part of the curriculum or just something extra, some extra resources that we'll have in there. They can walk around and download PDFs from different places. So yeah, they can try out different things anytime they want. They'll have free access.
So it's kind of like a virtual, think of a course portal. So think of a big collaborative Dropbox where, you have all your resources and stuff for a big course or a big workshop that you're created. So the virtual world kind of takes place of this big portal where we're going to not only share where all the material that we'll be going through, but it's also where we're going to be doing a lot of the activities and kind of experiencing different things in a virtual 3D kind of experience. Which then the whole thing, if we kind of tie everything back together, the whole thing is about kind of letting go of the strict way of you thinking a way you're supposed to be creative, and it's constructive instruction, mentored instruction, guided on a path, but then enormous amount of opportunities to play, to experiment, to explore, to prototype, to test. And it's going through that process where you start honing down what it is you're wanting to do or what you're designing. And as Deborah mentioned, earlier, we don't have a canned package that you would typically get. It's like, okay, everybody, we're going to take this scenario, and then we're going to design a game based off of this scenario. Yeah. You bring your scenario. We don't care what it is, whatever your learning problem is, whatever you're trying to solve. And then you're going to build it. You're going to design it. We're just going to give you the tools and the mechanics. And Rick, you even mentioned earlier about crafting a story. That's kind of where my role in all of this is. Kevin, how do we theme it? How do we get a story out of this? How do we tell the story to where you're playing? Think of all like the Settlers of Catan or Ticket to Ride. There's a story there, and that has to be crafted first so we can get the theme. Then we build it, we test it for prototype, and then we kind of circle back around, and I help you kind of visualize what your card deck's going to look like, what your card faces are going to look like, artwork and things like that. So we can tie this whole package together with a good-looking card deck and a fun card that you play, a good, serious game, if you will, and then get it printed and packaged up and sent to you in the mail. It's like, look, I made this. Right. I have a real thing I made here.
You've just got to make sure that if you invite Rick, you don't invite him to bring his Claymore.
I don't have it with me.
Have you seen Rick's Claymore?
Yeah, I don't have it here.
We have pictures of it.
Kevin?
Huh?
Do you know what a Claymore is?
Oh, actually, Harold has a picture of it.
Oh,
yeah.
Claymore.
I don't know if you have it here.
Wow.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got I'm a retired Army, and I went back to a Claymore mine, and I'm thinking, Rick, what are you doing with a Claymore mine?
The other Claymore. Yep. Yeah.
No, that is a Scottish Claymore. That is a proper Claymore.
It's a proper Claymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun sword. I bought it to work out with, and it works. It does a good job. It's heavy.
Yeah, don't drop it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't want to drop it.
Exactly. Especially on somebody else's head, eh?
Anybody else?
Right. Please.
We haven't got it.
Okay. Anyway, so tell us, what are the dates for the show again?
September. It's the whole month of September.
Yeah.
The whole month. Okay.
Yeah. The agenda and the agenda first of all, just a big shout out to Deborah. She has combed through the agenda and refined it and polished it and tore it apart and put it back together. I don't know how many times in the last month. So huge kudos to Deborah for kind of going through that and helping us put that together. And then we're kicking it off just after Labor Day, around September 7th, I think, is our, kind of a subtle way of kicking off. We'll get into the virtual world like Deborah was talking about, just kind of like a reception, if you will. And then the agenda kind of adjusts the agenda item adjusts every day, but we'll do a 1 to 2 hours every day over the course of 3 weeks. I think, is it 4 weeks? Did we cone it down to 3 or 4? I think we're still tying up that.
It's 4 weeks, right. And we're online for sure every other day the first week. And they have self-paced activities on the other 2 days the first week, but we'll be available online. So if they want to come online and say, wait, now how do I help me think about this?
Yep.
Whatever they need, like the mentoring starts immediately. And then the next 3 weeks, then they're online 2 days, and the third day is Friday is always optional, but there's so much. So I made Fridays optional, but I'm trying to make the Friday events so intriguing. They're going to want to be there.
Yeah.
They're going to want to be there.
I asked about, obviously, in
I love
the UK,
that. I love that.
In the UK, we're in a different time zone to even across the US. So what kind of time zones are you talking about? Because that would obviously have an impact on people joining from the UK.
Right, and we talked about that. That's why we decided on 12 to 1 every day, and then we'll be available an extra hour after each of those sessions. So we'll be available 12 to 2 every single day.
But what 12 to 2, what time zone?
Eastern time.
Eastern.
Yeah, because what we did is we looked at a lot of the online conferences and online webcasts and different things across the industry, and generally everything is around 11 Central, 12 Eastern, because that accommodates early morning on the West Coast, and it still accommodates sort of a mid to late evening as in Europe or in UK. So we're able to cover that little pocket of time is accessible for everybody. Now, if we've got folks in Australia and other parts of the world, then we would welcome them, but I'll bring the coffee because I know it'll be in the middle of the night for them.
It'll be challenging.
Or if we have only people from Australia, then we'll pivot and do an evening session. I'm just putting that out there right now.
A bunch right now.
Sorry, I'm just being awkward because I'm just thinking that this might actually interest people, beyond the United States.
We had quite a bit of interest last year. We had folks we had a couple of folks in Australia, that were India. There were a couple in Europe. There was one in UK. So we had a lot of interest. I think last year because it was an on-site event, and it was the first year we were still in the whole event planning, figuring things out, and I think we didn't get folks enough lead time to plan for travel, in the event of coming down there in September. But we're in contact with those folks, and unfortunately because of online, we can't do the on-site this year. But there's interest of coming back next year to the on-site one if everything settles down and we can get back down to Orlando.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, anyway, thank you guys all for coming on to the show today and sharing what you're doing in Step Away number 2. This actually sounds like you're stepping into almost, because now it's a virtual world.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. This is very cool. Yeah. And we wish you guys the best of success with this, and love to have you guys either come on. Yeah, you can come on while you're doing it if you want to. We'll join you.
Thank you.
That'd be interesting. Or right after the show, let us know how it went. And can you videotape not videotape, but can you video record some of what you're doing in the virtual world?
Yeah, I'm working with some of that now with the tool the platform does have a record feature, so
Okay.
I'm working on that. I can record all the visuals. I'm still working on getting the audio. I might have to do some other things to get that part to work, but that's something that we do hope
Yeah.
to have in place. Yeah.
Yeah, Camtasia or something like that could do that because it'll record your system audio as well. So that would be good. Or
Right.
even Snagit, frankly. They'll both do it. That sounds cool. Well,
Yeah.
hey, good seeing all of you again, and we wish you guys the best on this, and have a
Thanks
great
for
time.
inviting us
and-
again. Thanks for having us back.
Thank you.
Oh, our
Thanks
pleasure.
for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
A pleasure,
Come to
always.
Step Away, everyone.
Yes.
And of course, for everyone watching,
Yeah.
we've got the link to go
We've
go
got
to the
links
website
below
and find out
here.
about
If,
it.
if you haven't heard of the show before, go, have fun. And actually, it's going to be
Yeah.
virtual, even be more fun. I don't know about more fun, but it'll be fun. So, and if
They're
you're
all
watching the
walking
show,
down to it now.
and if you're watching the show, all the information to get a hold of anyone is below, as well as the website to go to the Step Away conference. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you next week on eLearnChat. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.
you.
Thanks for
Everyone.
joining
Bye.
us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.